Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. Oh my god. I don't know why I'm like so stressed today. Hi. Honestly, I'm stressed all the time. I'll talk about why in a moment. But like, you would think that after having hundreds upon hundreds of hours of streaming, I would never feel stress. And yet, I feel like it's because I end up like randomly deciding that like, oh, I'll stream today, and I'm like not preparing properly, whatever. It'll be fine. Hi Mai, hi Aubergine, hi Wendero, how are you guys doing? Happy Pride Month, everyone! We're gay! We're gay today! And every other day. Oh. Oh my god. I'm like, everything hurts. And I'm trying to like... Yeah. I forgot that I was gonna check something before stream. I forgot. Okay, whatever. That. Hi, Dissociated Personality. Welcome. How are you guys doing? Yeah, I was gonna stream, like, originally I was gonna stream over the weekend, and I said I would stream over the weekend, and that, didn't work out because I was going through so much stress, real life stress, and I also had some other, like, last minute real life stuff happening that I just could not. I just wanted to spend my Thursday not doing anything. Saturday. See, I'm so out of it still. I don't even know the days of the week. Fucking out. Do you ever get questioned by some community, like, do you have a relationship with Ai Hoshino or her child? No, I don't think I did. I mean, like, there were people who, like, were like, oh shit, isn't your surname the same and stuff? It is. It actually is written the exact same way. But like, technically, Oshinoko started serializing before Hitomi Hoshino existed, but I didn't know about that manga until like a year or two after I came up with this name. Cause Oshinoko started in early 2020, and I came up with Hitomi Hoshino summer 2020. So like technically after, but no, I didn't know about that series back then. It wasn't really popular when it just started, so I did know it before the anime though. Sorry. Instead, I get a lot of people asking me more about Hitomi and whether, like, they cite, like, certain famous Hitomis and ask if that's because of it. Let's not get into that. Ugh. Hi, Matto, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Anyway, so the reason I was like so out of it, and I'm trying to figure out how much I can say without doxing myself. But I think what I can say is that basically what happened is at my workplace they fired a dude and then called me immediately and asked if I want to take his place, and that's how I got promoted. And I didn't have time to like think about it because it was just like they called me like hey, we just fired this dude. Do you want to take his place starting next week? It was like, okay. So I got promoted. It's a pretty big promotion in terms of like usually people with such little job experience would never get this sort of position. Searchyacht has been a moderator for 18 months. What the fuck? Since when is that a thing? Since a week or so. Oh shit. Okay. I guess I wonder if they ever made like alerts for that. I didn't know that like they added that feature. That's funny. Congrats on having 2 babies with me as a moderator. It's like 9 times 2. Yeah. Sorry. Happy Pride Month! You birthed my baby twice. Happy Pride Month. Promoted like that? Yeah, like, well, so technically, I was like on the side doing slightly similar things at my job already due to circumstances, whatever. And so they were like, okay, you know a little bit, I guess. Let's just have you replace him. And so I was thrown into a new team, and now I'm like a decision maker, or like on a decision making position. And I was very, very stressed that I have to like suddenly learn a lot and get used to doing a new job and having you know, a bigger responsibility, right? Because I no longer just, because I was just responsible for like my own work, but now I'm responsible for other people as well, in a way. I keep on being like, in a way, kind of, because it's like, well, I don't want to say what my exact job title is, because people will look me up on social media or whatever, and like, let's not do that, guys. Let's not find out where Hitomi works. Good that these things are fought through before they fire that person. Well, I'm pretty sure what happened is that because there was a meeting a week before where I think they were trying to feel me out, but I didn't realize it back then. I only realized it in hindsight after I got the promotion that they were trying to feel me out. So I think what happened is that they were like, okay, no, I think maybe she can do it. And they were thinking of firing that dude for a while. So what happened is that they were finally like, okay, so we can fire him and immediately have Hitomi replace him. Okay, whatever. So I was sent like a shitload of materials and like all the PowerPoints related to this job from the last half a year and things like that. And I have so much shit to read and get through, because what's stressful is I need to read up a lot, because if I'm supposed to be the decision maker, then I need to know what I'm making decisions on. Duh. Sorry, I didn't think, and I grabbed gum, and now I'm like, well, now I'm gonna stand like this. And I wasn't very smart. What did bro do to need someone replace his position so fast? No, as I said, I think what was happening is that they wanted to fire him for a while, but it's the sort of position that, like, it needs to be filled, so they couldn't have fired him and then, like, start a recruitment process that will take a few months and things like that. Hi, Toru! Nice to see you here! How are you doing? Oh my god! Hi! Oh my god, wait. Everyone follow Toru. Like, right now. Like, right now. Sorry I started eating gum and now I sound horrendous. I'm trying to, like, be caught up with chat. Where am I? Oh my god, of course I'm the pregnant one. What else? Yeah! This is the mpreg stream. Sergio pumping out babies like crazy. Yeah, it was 18 months, so I guess we're just getting started on the third one. Good luck. Hi Hachi, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Poor Tommy literally got tossed in the deep end of the pool. Yes, no, but here's the thing. Like, I'm excited for him. I think I will enjoy this new position more than I did my previous position. It's just stressful to just, like, suddenly be thrown in and, like, have all of these expectations on me. And, you know, like, they had to, like, announce it to the whole company that, like, hey, this person is replacing that person. Scary. Scary. Scary and horrifying. Scary and horrifying. Okay. I'm good. How about you? No, I'm good. I literally got promoted and officially am on a new job position as of today. Scary, but exciting! Yay! I have to say, shout out my job for even, like, letting young people, you know, have these sort of opportunities and be able to, like, reach new heights, let's call it. Scary, terrifying, but maybe it'll be fine. What else? Maybe they placed all the important bits in a BL manga so the purple lady will better retain all the information. God, I wish. Oh my god. Can you imagine if they just, like, instead of giving me, like, PowerPoints, they just, like, wrote a gay fanfic? This reminds me, I had a friend in middle school who would literally, like, study by writing fan fiction of her favorite ship talking to each other about, like, whatever she was studying at the time. So she would just, like, I don't know, take, like, a ship from Haikyuu and then have them talk about, like, the Krebs cycle or anything else from biology. I respect it. It's hilarious, but if it works, it works, you know? This is the what stream? Happy Pride Month! Everyone get male pregnant. Yay! But that means the higher-ups know about Tommy and her BL? Oh my god. That would be terrifying. I really hope not. Holy shit. I say that as if I don't look at, like, gay hentai at work. But I try to make it so that people don't look at my phone, maybe. Hi, Agun. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Jesus. I'm sorry that I'm like that. I mean, I'm not really sorry, but... Anyway, isn't it really funny how there's just someone like me out there who spends all of her time reading BL and then somehow is also really successful at work? Has a successful career? Like, how does that work? You know? How has that worked out for me? I'm fine. Never get a chance to drop by since you're in Rebirth, new model. Rebirth. Well, we can call it Rebirth. That's okay. I actually haven't used this model. Like, there weren't many opportunities, let's call it, because I started using this model technically while I was on a break from streaming. Because I finished most of the model to participate in Live 2D Awards. I got the award, hell yeah! But then I was like really busy with finishing my degree and finishing my thesis, getting my degree. So I streamed like a few times only with this model. And now I'm back, and now I'm trying to be like a little bit more regular with my streaming. At least a little bit. Hitomi Hoshino 7 Reaper. Yep. Oh, I should have used that one. That's funny. I would read BL even if I was successful. I would read BL regardless. Do you guys want to see something really funny? So, wait, let me just like prepare an image for this. So, you know how like, so some of you who have ever heard of GitHub know that, oh, thank you so much for the Prime, Agun! Hell yeah! Hell yeah, thank you! So if you've ever heard of GitHub, GitHub has this, like, it shows you the activity in, well, just, like, how much daily, like, contributions you've done. Now, AniList, which is a manga and anime tracking website, actually has something very similar to it in looks. And it shows you your activity in the last half a year. And I am very serious about my BL. So this is how my activity history looks like. I missed 2 days, which hurt me, by the way, that I missed them. I missed 2 days in the last half a year. I admit there were days where I would like read one chapter just for the sake of keeping the streak going. I'm being honest, that has happened. At the same time, there's also like, because this only tracks comics and, well, pretty much only comics, because I don't really watch anime much. But this pretty much only tracks comics and light novels. So because I also read web novels, and I also play visual novels, there is BL that I've read that isn't included in this activity history. It's funny the color is purple as well. Oh no, because you can pick the color. Of course I picked purple. You can pick the accent color for your profile. But yeah, yaoi is serious business to me, okay? It's serious business. So... Anyway. So I need a break. Yeah, but I've been stressing over work. I hope it will be good. My manager's manager keeps on being like, "Oh, I think you're like the future of this industry," or whatever. I don't fucking know. It's so funny because like I'm at this job by accident. Kinda. Like, I applied to a completely different department in the same company, and they told me that like, oh, they're looking for someone with more experience, but you can, your resume looks pretty good for this other job that we're recruiting. Maybe you want to do a job interview for that. And I said, well, sure, because I needed a job. And then like that, I've been there for 2 years, a bit over 2 years, and now I got promoted to a job that like usually people need like way more experience in the industry to have. So that's my life. All while reading BL and earning money to buy BL. Yeah. BL is love, BL is life, some great person once said. The future of this industry, well, the future looks a lot like a BL plot. Yeah, so actually, I'm petitioning to have everyone become male pregnant. At my job! Imagine if I actually am working like some sort of medical field, and then I'm actually like working on trying to get mpreg to become real. I'm trying to make ass babies real, okay? Everyone? We're woke now. It's Pride Month. All men will become pregnant. All I hear is you got more money for BL, but less time to read BL. In a way, I'm lucky that, well, right now, because of the promotion and like I have to like learn a lot, I don't have that much time. But usually I do spend quite a bit of time at my job just reading comics. If we want gender equality, we should start with mpreg. You get me! You get me! Oh my god. I'm saving that. That's so funny. Anyway. What else can I tell you guys? No, I don't know. I was just like I couldn't sleep properly because I was like so like a mix of excited and stress, and so it's Pride Month, so Hitomi gets a buff where her takes are 200% more gay. True. True. You thought I couldn't get more gay. However. But yeah, I thought that since I already had, because I found a website that lets you easily pull out the list of all of the stuff you logged as completed in a specific month. From your AniList, because AniList normally doesn't have that, but there's a separate website that lets you do that. The annoying thing is that for some reason it only like lists them alphabetically when I would prefer for them to be sorted by like complete date, but that's fine. So because I have that list, like it's easily accessible, I thought that I could go through like a little recap of what I read, and you guys can listen to me pretend that you're interested. in me talk about BL that I've read in Japanese, so you can't even read it yourself. Well, I haven't read all of it in Japanese, but I've been reading more and more in Japanese. I always enjoy you talking about BL. Aww. You couldn't sleep? Did you count BL couples to fall asleep? 1 pregnant uke, 2 pregnant uke. Anyway, drink real quick. Let's get started. I set up so that I can like show you guys analysts and it's a little bit easier to talk about it. But I'm also stressed that I'm gonna somehow dox myself because I fear every time I share my browser. Somewhere I didn't notice in the corner there's probably like my full address and I'm just like not aware. That was my best joke. It's over. I peaked. Hey, but it was pretty good, you know? It was pretty good. Thank you for follow Lamorfu. Is that how I pronounce it? Thank you so much. Welcome to the galaxy. Hope you enjoy it here. How's your day going? Oh yeah, also it's like Children's Day. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Congratulations, Search Yacht, on your babies. Okay, let's talk about... I don't think children should be here. That's true, actually. If there's any children in chat, leave! Leave! I'm gonna be talking about, like, really explicit PL. Let's get to it! Hi! This is Annulist. And we're going crazy because we are immediately... I can probably do this. We're immediately starting off with an Mpreg one! Yay! How shocking. How shocking. So, Egihago Sapsida is a very cute short Korean manhwa, BL manhwa, that obviously I only read because I heard they have a baby! Yay! It was short. Actually, like you can see it in the corner, it says it's only 10 chapters. But it was really cute. So, always fighting, yet somehow friends, they ended up causing trouble. Doha is an alpha, Geo an omega, yet they've been childhood friends since they were little. One day, a rut hits Doha, and just then, Geo happens to drop by his house and runs into him. With his memory of that night hazy due to the rut, Doha watches Geo retching and thinks, it seems he ended up on top of Geo, but seeing no sign of a condom, so I'll take responsibility. And what I really like about this is that he's actually not pregnant in this moment. And it kind of subverts this trope that I always found really annoying, especially like because Korean comics or dramas love to do this, where someone has unprotected sex and literally the day after they get pregnancy symptoms. That's not how anything ever works. At all. At all. You don't get morning sickness on your first day of pregnancy. So I liked that here it was like he saw that and thought about it, but like no, he wasn't pregnant quite yet, because what actually happens is that like that leads them to uh get in a relationship together and like get closer, and then like years after they actually do have a kid, a planned one. But yeah, there's actually another manhwa that we're not going to talk about today, because today we're only getting for things that I completed reading in May, right? So anything that I finished in May. There's one thing that's ongoing I'm reading that also subverted this trope that I really enjoyed, and that's While You Weren't Watching, which is not that good of a manhwa, but it's very, you know, when sometimes something is like objectively not that good, but it's still so entertaining, like you keep on reading. So in that one, something similar happened, and they went to a doctor, and the doctor is like, no, he's not fucking pregnant. He's just sleep deprived. Have you watched too many soap operas? uh anyway, um there's one cool thing that this comic does that I can't show on stream because I'm not trying to show panels and get bonked for it, but they have so every chapter they have like a sort of title page, and the title page is two of them together. It's like, well, like both of their faces zoomed in, but they have every chapter they have different expressions, and depending on like how close they are in the story, they like either look away from each other or look at each other. And there's like those are like very subtle changes, but I found that like a really nice detail, because a lot of these stories like just slap a logo of like the title of the story, and they don't make a special sort of title card. But I think like unique title cards that like match the actual chapter is a really, really cool feature for comics, for webtoons. Especially that like for manga, usually just sort of like title cards. I very often see them, but it's probably partially because of the like manga magazine medium. Is that usually it's just like an eye-catching, nice-looking artwork, rather than like something that shows the like the current state of the story of the character and such. Anyway, what did I give this? I gave this 8 out of 10. Pretty good. Pretty nice. It was entertaining. It was short. It was cute. I loved Mpreg. And that one actually is available in English. Next one. Bazaritai nara ore o aishite. This one I actually gave 6 out of 10 too. Also I realized I need to do one thing, and that is like I need to like copy the title, and like because this one doesn't have a translated description. So let me just pull that up, like throw it into. Do I want to translate this myself, or do I want to be lazy and put it into a? I want to be lazy. Let's put it into default. So, the title is "Fall in Love to Go Viral" in English, and it's basically a story about like, let's queerbait online to be famous streamers, which like it will work on me. I'd probably watch that. I'm sorry. But yeah, but he like, so the tagline is like, let's do some BL together. Haruto, a college student who also works as a struggling streamer, which by the way, when I say struggling streamer, at the beginning of this comic, it's shown that he has 2 viewers, and one of them is he himself having his stream open. Rough. uh, has been struggling lately because his subscriber count just isn't growing. One day, while pondering how to become a super popular streamer, he discovered a video of a BL couple going viral. He begged his best friend since middle school, the handsome Toma, and the two decided to promote themselves as the Toharu couple on stream. During their very first stream, Haruto is elated by the record-breaking viewership, but then Toma passionately hugs him, whispers, "I've always liked you," and kisses him? The non-stop love game begins as the fake relationship they started to go viral gets more and more intense. it wasn't that good, to be perfectly honest. The premise was good, the execution was not. There were some moments I thought were interesting, but overall it kind of just like fell flat. What's interesting, and we'll talk about it later, is that I guess I can do it immediately because I can just change the order of things that we're talking about. I actually read 2 stories that had this sort of premise back to back. So I read this one, but then the other one that I liked way more was Usotsuki Naki's the Kyomo Bye Bye. Let me copy that. And actually, if you look at it, like, it actually is just, like, people, like, recommended one to the other. So it, like, shows. Now, let me get the description of this one. So this one is, like, the premise is basically the same. He's like, let's pretend to be a couple online to get Fujoshi money. Asahi is popular and naturally loved by everyone, but he's also a bit calculating. Jin is a cool guy who has had a crush on Asahi for ages, but never lets his obsession show. These 2 college-age childhood friends started streaming a gay couple channel on a whim. Pretending to be lovers, they're a business couple who make money by stoking viewers' demand. But as their popularity grows, the comments during their live streams get more extreme. Kiss, make out, flirt, the tips get bigger and the demands escalate. Carried away by the hype, Asagi suggests they pretend to kiss. But what happens next is... So the premise is the same, right? And I think it was interesting reading these 2 side by side because it really added to, like, just being able to compare one to another, right? But I think this one did a better job at, like, making the story believable, because both of them are like, okay, this dude like asked me to fake date, but I've had a crush on him for years. But while in the Bazaritai one, so the previous one, what I didn't like about it is that the uke, so like the one who suggested to like fake date, he was just like really really clueless and stupid, and it was tiring. It wasn't funny. He was really clueless and naive. I'm sorry, I don't vibe with it. Like it made it hard to like believe that he would be able to develop actual romantic feelings when I don't know, it just felt like he was being led on. It ended on an interesting note without spoiling anything. But I feel like because like it was just sort of asking for there to be more to the story, but there's probably not going to be a sequel. So I'm just kind of like, bleh. Hi, Kiloto. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Happy Children's Day. Happy Pride. But yeah, whereas Usokis developed it in a way more wholesome way, which I liked. So as you can see, like that one, the Buzzry Tie, I gave 6 out of 10. This one I gave 8 out of 10. It still wasn't revolutionary, but it was a way more of how do you say it? A way more enjoyable read. But Buzzritai, because Buzzritai had like a very cunning yandere kind of seme. So that was also interesting, is that like it had some really nice visual depictions of him being a yandere, and I thought that was nice. But maybe it's also because I really dislike yandere types, or generally possessive types. So that probably influenced as to why I ended up not really liking it overall. Oh well. Hi Tiax, welcome to the stream. Lurk away. Okay, the next one. 1 second. That I read is also a very Hitomi moment. Campusen Bimiryochinto. Or like a secret girlfriend on campus. 6 out of 10. This wasn't story-wise very good, but I'm a pervert and I read it because you had like, so you have this dude who like panic says that, no, I totally have a girlfriend. She just goes to another department in university or whatever, and he like panicked and fucking said that he's like dating like the most popular girl in school. And then the girl like finds out about it and is like, oh, actually, and reveals that it's actually cross-dressing men. I have a girlfriend, she goes to another gender. Yeah. But the reason I ended up being interested in this one is that the crossdresser is the top. And he fucks while cross-dressing. And that's rare, because usually the cross-dresser is the bottom. Right? Because there's the whole thing, like the bottom is a feminine one. Bleh. Bleh. Boring. This is peak. Have a cross-dressing man who looks like a woman top a muscular man. That's the real shit. Anyway, the story was fucking non-existent, but that's not what I was there for, okay? So it's a 6 out of 10, but it was an enjoyable 6 out of 10. Peak, as one might say. Peak. What was the next one? There's actually gonna be quite a few reads this month where I'm like, where I was just like, oh, I just wanted to read this for perverted reasons. I don't think it was good. And the next one is also gonna be like that. And this is Mine to Ruin in English. Songgil has spent years pining for his older brother's friend Songwon, but as a beta from a humble background, he knows the future of the elite alpha is impossible. When a sudden secondary gender manifestation turns Songyul into an omega, his life spirals. Desperate for cash and heartbroken by news of Sengwon's engagement, he makes a reckless choice to enter the underground adult industry. His first night is a nightmare, until his very first client turns out to be Sungwon himself. And I gave this 2 out of 10! It was horrendous. It was bad. But what it did have is a pregnant Omega with a visible baby bump. And I read this stupid fucking shit, which was only 11 chapters to be fair. I read this stupid fucking shit with horrible writing just because I knew that in the side stories, they drew him with a baby bump. Priorities. Because, like, very rarely, because, like, I've read so much MPreg, very rarely do they actually show a baby bump. Hell, actually, yesterday or 2 days ago, I don't remember which title it was. Maybe it will be on the list. I don't remember. I literally read a BL where they were like, they were literally like, okay, so when a male Omega has a baby, he doesn't get a baby bump. They were just like, he just becomes less muscular, more plumpy, more chubby, whatever. I'm like, okay, but so where is the baby going if there's no baby bump? Why are you committing to drawing a pregnant man but are scared to show a baby bump? How is this fair? How does this make sense? Also keeping track, free, no Empreg, to Empreg. I haven't read that much Empreg, like, percentage-wise. Anyway, 2 out of 10. Would not recommend. Aside from the baby bump, there's one really funny moment where the Omega goes out to literally grab groceries and comes back to like seeing that the alpha has like started breaking shit and is like bleeding from his hands because he like hit the wall or whatever, because the alpha was like crashing out and the Omega left him and he just went to grab groceries for dinner. Beautiful writing. The baby bump is the 1.5 from a 2 out of 10. I'm not saying you're wrong. Fun fact, this was the first time ever that I rated anything on AniList as 2 out of 10. Before this, my lowest was 3 out of 10. This is the first time I put something as 2 out of 10. Because usually if something is this fucking bad, I drop it. But here I was like, okay, it's 11 chapters and there's a baby bump at the end. So I persevered. Was it worth it? Debatable. The baby bump was good. Okay, the next one. This is one that I was reading for a longer while, and it ended in May. Dreadful Night was actually one of my favorite ongoing manhwas for a long time. Because it's 80 chapters long. It was in serialization for almost 3 years. Really fucking good. Very sexy characters. Very nice premise. Now, okay, let's read the synopsis first. Wanna play a game? The only catch is, you're not just playing it. You've got to play your way out of it. That's exactly what is happening to Bada. And he's been at this for a while, trying to gather clues and items to find a way out of this damned horror RPG. The killer, the NPCs, the setting, Bada's now familiar with them all. He'll just have to endure a couple more games, maybe get killed a few more times. But in this session, Namdoha, someone who Bada thought was just an NPC, is suddenly acting strange. Has he been another player this entire time? Bada has to be tortured to end the storyline and start over, and Doha has volunteered to do it, but the look in his eyes suggests he has other, even more sinister intentions in mind. What sadistic horrors must Bada endure to break free from this dreadful night? So, the whole premise is that he's trapped in a horror game, and he has to find a way to get out of it. Now, spoiler alert, I'm gonna spoil the whole story and the whole ending, because I want to complain, okay? So if you don't want to listen to it, if you for some reason are interested in this, because I did give it an 8 out of 10. While I was reading it, it was a 9 out of 10 for me, but the way that it ended made me bring it down to an 8. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, maybe mute the stream for like 10 minutes. But so the setting is really interesting because first of all, the story already starts like it's described in the synopsis. So you're already thrown into the fact that they're in the RPG and you don't know how they got into this horror game, right? So you're reading it, be like wondering how did they even get there, right? So that was interesting. There's also like they play with a lot of horror tropes that are it's a mix of like tongue-in-cheek funny things that also work for like making Fujoshi's happy. A very good example of that is that Pibada is like, okay, if I dress up cutely and like, so he, for example, starts doing like really cute hairstyles and putting accessories on his hair and stuff, so you see him in like 10 different hairstyles throughout the story. He's gonna survive longer because in horror movies they want to keep the cute girl a little bit alive a little bit longer instead of having them be killed right at the start. But then it's also like I think it was explained that it also like reels the killer in because the killer is interested. I don't remember all the details. Anyway, so as you keep on reading, you actually find out first that Namdoha is a player. But what you find out later that made me really interested in the story is you find out that the main character, Pibada, is an NPC. He's not a player. He's an NPC that a different player has convinced that he's also a player to be able to use him into winning the game or getting out of it, right? And that was like a really, really interesting premise as well. So later on, like, you know, like Pibada and Namdoha fall in love and they're like, oh, we're gonna escape together. Like, even if you're an NPC, I'm gonna find a way to get you out of here. Cool, nice, sexy, whatever. My problem with this story is specifically with the ending. Because the ending was such a... How do I even describe this? Like, there wasn't an obvious climax to this story. There wasn't anything very specific that, like, happened for it to be like, oh, this is the answer to the game. Oh, this is the ending of the story. No, it was literally like, okay, we got all of the possible bad endings. We got all of the endings. I guess the game ends now. Cool. And then you have the last chapter. The last chapter is just like, oh, so now we're in the real world. And I'm an NPC, Pibada, so I remember what happened. But Namdoha was a real person, and he doesn't remember what happened. End. I was so disappointed. Because it was such a unique premise. And they went nowhere with it. They went nowhere with it. Was frustrated. I need a drink. I still love Pibada. He's super hot. But, oh my god. I don't regret buying and reading the 80 chapters. But I was a bit sad at the end. Because I was so excited reading this as it was serializing. And then it fucked up right at the end. Man. I'm still hoping that maybe we get like side stories at least that show how their relationship looks like once they're out of the game. It's not gonna, I don't think it's gonna like increase my rating from an 8, but it would at least make me feel a little bit more satisfied with the whole story if it doesn't literally end on like, and then we woke up kind of thing. Kind of frustrating. Next. My mom needed something. Okay. Next one. I am not gonna try reading the Chinese title. The English title was I Want to Be a Big Baddie. And I say was because actually this was originally because this is a Bilibili comic, and Bilibili used to have an English site where it had a legally translated version of this. But then halfway through its serialization, Bilibili Comics, the English side went down. Oh well. Anyway, 197 chapters. 197 chapters. Oh my god. This, by the way, hi Sayak, welcome to the stream. How's it going? This comic is the most popular Chinese BL comic. It is the absolute biggest BL manhwa in China, with like the second most popular being like nowhere close. Original, by the way. I'm talking original. I'm not talking like adaptations of novels. Like this is the absolutely most popular comic that's original and not an adaptation. And like literally, people who don't read BL will know these characters because they will, if they live in a major city, they've seen these characters on ads. They've seen these characters in like pop-ups, stores, etc. Really fucking popular. Anyway, so this is a quick transmigration comic. And what it means is that unlike sort of standard transmigration, where the whole story is that a character goes into another world and then lives in that another world till the end of the story, quick transmigration means that there are story arcs, and every arc is a new world. So it's more like there's also the term of like world hopping, right? So we have the main character who hops through these different worlds, but what turns out is that he's always the villain in these stories, while the protagonist in these stories is always some sort of variant of the same person, who will later be the person that he falls in love with. I don't think it was revolutionary, but I think it was really nicely done. I thought the story wrapped up in a satisfying way. I gave it an 8 out of 10 because overall, like throughout the whole almost 200 chapters, there were moments where I was like, it's kind of cliche, it's kind of But what I will say is that, because this is an issue for a lot of sort of quick transmigration stories, is that they keep on doing different arcs, but they don't have a good enough idea for how to actually wrap up the whole underlying story. That wasn't the case here. It felt thought out, it felt planned from the start. So it was satisfying. I have a lot of merchandise from this series. I really, really like these two. On ads? Yeah. But yeah. This is available fully translated. I recommend it. It's funny. It's quite lighthearted. There are moments that make you a bit sad, but overall it's quite a light read. I recommend it. You can find out why China is obsessed with these two. Why I'm obsessed with these two. Smile. Oh, that was a good neck crack. Oh my god. Okay. Next one. Hitotsu Yana no Shita Kimi to Idol. This is you can already see I put 7 out of 10, but it's a little bit complicated with this one. Let me just once again I have to look up the premise because I didn't. It's not on AniList. A lot of these, you might notice that a lot of these comics that only are available in Japanese will not have, um, uh a description on AniList because there's only a few people who are dumb like me who read it in Japanese. 2 completed, 1 current, 11 planning. So, right, I was gonna get the description translated. An ordinary guy is starting idol training today. Aki Narita, a completely ordinary office worker at a production company, receives a request to handle promotions for the super popular idol group Unit. Aki had mixed feelings about idols due to certain circumstances, but on the day of the job, he is suddenly hugged by the member Hayami Rintaro, and for some reason he's been handpicked to be Hayami's mentor. So this turns out to be a story about like 2 dudes who met when they were both just like planning, like when they were kids, and they were planning to become like idol trainees. And the person who's the manager here, or like the mentor, I guess, due to certain circumstances, was not able to actually go on to become an idol, despite being skilled to do so. I really, really like the premise of this. I like the setting. The reason why I couldn't rate it more than 7 out of 10, and I don't want to blame Satohama Sensei for that, is that I think this story should have been longer. This is, as most BL manga, this is 1 volume long. And I assume it's the usual issue of like it being like, because in Japan generally BL manga labels do not wanna give people contracts for more than 1 volume at a time. And this can create an issue where like here, where the story I think would have been way better if it had more time. Because it ends on a little bit of an unsatisfactory note. And on top of that, I felt like a good relationship development was added in the Kaki Oroshi. In the context of manga, Kaki Oroshi is the extra chapter that is written for the physical volume release, rather than, because manga is serialized in magazines, right? But very often when they then release a physical copy of like a tankobon physical volume, they will do like an extra chapter as a bonus, as an incentive for people who are following the serialization to also buy the physical comic. And here it was the issue that extra chapter had additional relationship development because the author didn't have time to do so in the main story. Because usually these sort of like kakiwarashi, like the extra chapter will be like little fluff or like a little nice extra to like a complete story. But here it felt more like it was that like they just wanted to develop these characters' story more, but they weren't able to do so. Also, a little bit biased. If you don't notice, I really, really like idol stories. I love idol BL. I've read a good chunk and I'm always looking for more and more and more. Actually, there's gonna be 1 more idol BL even in the list today. I really like idol BL. Makes me happy. But yeah, I I can hope that maybe this gets a sequel greenlit someday, maybe. It would be nice. But I wonder, like, with the way that the first volume ended, if there would even be a way of um like doing a natural follow-up, you know? Okay. Um drink. Okay. No, where am I? I'm here. Um Oh, actually, wait. We're gonna literally the next one is gonna be another idol BL I read. Just once again, I gotta get the description out. So this is gonna be a little bit of a longer explanation because so so you guys know Omegaverse. Well, what if I told you that we have gone way past just that, and we now have multiple verses, as people call them. So here, what we have is we have Cakeverse. Now, what Cakeverse is, and this is actually, by the way, this is the first Cakeverse I've read. And so at, obviously, like with all verses, this can like vary by the work, but in Cakeverse you have forks, you have cakes, and you have normals. So normals is just a normal human. Now, forks, they would only usually realize that, or like they would become a fork at a certain age, usually like as a teenager or like in their 20s. And what happens is they lose all sense of taste. So any sort of food or drink, nothing, it either tastes like nothing to them or it even tastes bad. But cakes smell and taste really good to them. And this can be like, oh, it's just their smell. This can be that their skin tastes good to lick. It can be bodily fluids. All bodily fluids. Depends. Once again, depends on the work. You get the gist. Um Depending on the story, it can also include a little bit of cannibalistic tendencies. Because it's like, oh, you taste really good, I want to eat you. But I want to say, at least in like manga, BL manga, they don't really go that far. They might, like, it might go as far as like, I think in this one, he gets like bitten a lot, but it's never like actually like there's no skin actually being bitten off. It's just that like he gets bitten. Um um And so the premise of this one specifically, which is also why I liked it, is that the uke, the cake, is an idol. No one will ever love the real me. Misaki Hinata, a hugely popular top-tier idol, was troubled by the fact that he couldn't take off his idol mask in front of others. One day, Hinata was scheduled to do a photo shoot with a cool young man named Keito Shirasawa. However, the moment their lips touched due to an accident, Keito's attitude suddenly changed. "You're so sweet, Hinata. When you're near me, I want you." Keito claims that even though he had lost his sense of taste, only Hinata tastes sweet to him. At that moment, a rumor flashed for Hinata's mind. There are people who can only taste the sweetness of the one they're destined to love. Maybe Keito is his destined partner. If so, perhaps he'll love every part of him. Thinking this, Hinata, determined to verify the truth of the rumor, proposes a predator-prey relationship to Keito. Oh, right, because also in this universe, it's said that, like, all of the, like, cake and fork is, like, an urban legend. Because usually in, like, verse stories, it's like, oh, it's a whole universe where this is normal. And in this one, this is presented as an urban legend, and it's not something that, like, people believe is real, right? But then he happens to meet someone who meets to, like, aligns with that urban legend, right? This one also has really, really cute art. Also, hi, Serafina. Welcome to the stream. What's up? This one has really cute art. An interesting, rare case where I think the art looks better on the inside of the manga than the cover. Usually the cover is, like, art bait, right? I think the uke looks way better in the actual, like, manga than he does on this cover that you see on the screen. So the cake is no lie here? I guess so. 8 out of 10. Not revolutionary. My first cake verse. I quite liked it. What I have, like, some sort of notes, I think, about, like, what I thought about it, and I'm trying to, like, find when I yapped about it. Did I not? Did I hallucinate writing about it? I guess I hallucinated. I mean, whatever. Anyway. Next one. So, actually, I explained to you Cakeverse. Now, we're gonna explain Guideverse. Or, actually, in Guideverse is how it was popularized and how it's called in Korea, where there's way more works like this. In Japan, they call this Sentinelverse. And for Sentinelverse, I actually counted this, I think. Let me find where I... 7 manga titles plus 3 one-shots published total in a few years in Japan for Sentinelverse. Whereas in South Korea, there's so many. There's hundreds comics, hundreds of novels. I don't know if there's hundreds of comics. There's hundreds of novels. There's dozens of comics for sure. Because I've read at least 2 dozen of Guideverse. So what is Guideverse or Sentinelverse? I guess actually the description here gets the idea. Sentinels cannot live without their guides. Kodai, an ordinary high school student, reunites after several years with his childhood friend Shiro, whom he once had feelings for. Their joyful reunion is short-lived when Kodai learns that Shiro is a sentinel living in the underworld, and he himself is a guide, a person with supernatural abilities. As a prize for their heightened senses, sentinels face life-threatening danger unless they physically connect with their guides. Shiro is no exception, and he demands sex from Kodai. If it means letting others touch you, then I'll. As they give in to their physical desires, special feelings gradually begin to grow. Kodai starts to desperately wish to save Shiro from the underworld, but And so this manga does something that is like unusual for these sort of settings, is that because what's the main idea is that sentinels have some sort of supernatural powers, but whenever they use them, usually it's some sort of like negative energy or whatever that builds up inside of them, and the only way to get rid of that, because if it builds up too much, they something bad happens. The only way to get rid of that is through physical touch with a guide. And now, the more intimate the touch, the more effective it is. So obviously, yeah, you can just hold hands, but sometimes, why would you hold hands for a few hours when you can just fuck for 20 minutes? Right? Duh. Also, I just realized I don't have my BGM going on. I don't know if I'm supposed to have my BGM when I'm yapping here. You guys even care? Does it matter? What water. But yeah, so what this one does different to how it's popularized in South Korean original BL is that here it's mainly that they go mentally insane if they overload without like having contact with a guide. In Korea, it's usually that, first of all, like they have some sort of more specific supernatural power. Oh yeah, so let me just get the BGM going just so there's something going on. I forgot. I'm such a shitty, unexperienced streamer and I don't know what I'm doing. So in South Korean works, we usually have a more specific power rather than like here it's just like heightened senses, right? And if they do not have contact with a guide, in Korean works, it would be that they just go berserk. So, for example, if they have like a fire-related power, they can just start to commit arson, things like that. Here, it's more that they just have they just become mentally broken. It's okay, Hitomi. It's okay to forget we know most of your thoughts are for BL. That's true. That's why I'm talking about BL on stream. Smile. So this was okay. I don't even know much what to say. I read it because it was like, oh well, there's I want to see what like Japan tries to do with the Guideverse Sentinelverse thing. It was visually interesting. Story-wise, it was just kind of nothing. It was alright. I don't want to say nothing. It was alright. 7 out of 10. Nothing revolutionary. Nice of a read if you are familiar with Korean Guideverse and are just like curious how they try to do it in like Japan. This is a few years old, by the way. But like a lot of people like don't even know that Japan has these sort of works. I bought this half a year ago and someone just like reminded me of its existence. And I was like, okay, I'll read it. Next one. Kochi Mite Sensei. This one was really cute. This one was one of those where I like heard about it because this one just released this month in May, right? So it was a new release and people were talking about it. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it. Side note, it's super cool to like know enough Japanese that I can just like, something comes out in Japan and I can start reading it immediately. It's fucking cool. But, so people were talking about it, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like it. So this is like a teacher-student story. And, but it's like wholesome, and I wasn't sure if I would like it. Like, people were like I wasn't really quite convinced. The big thing here is that, spoiler alert, nothing happens while the kid is a student. There's a whole time skip. And I was worried that because of that it was gonna be like really boring. But it wasn't. I'll talk about it in a moment. So, synopsis. At his high school's entrance ceremony, Ui falls head over heels for his art teacher, Yugahara-sensei. He tries to confess his feelings at every opportunity, but day after day he's turned down with excuses like, I'm a teacher and we're both guys. For the next 6 months until graduation, please watch over my one-sided love. Because he wants his teacher to notice him, he's continuing his all-out pursuit today as well. 120% pure high school romance that will make you want to root for this boy who loves with all his heart. Cute description for a very cute story. Yeah, so this kid has been pining over his teacher for all of high school. And he's been trying to get his attention, and it's like really, really cute. And the teacher keeps something like no, we can't, you're my student, and you're like, we're both dudes, even like but it's also like later revealed that the teacher is gay, but he just like is this sort of very sad typical thing where he's like, I don't want to ruin your life, go date a girl. Those sort of things really hurt me, make me very sad. Happy Pride Month. I hate homophobia. And so you can see through as like the story progresses that the teacher, I wouldn't quite say like, it's not quite like a romantic interest, but it is, something is like budding there. There's something there, but there's still the sort of like, well, he's my student, right? And now the whole time skip thing and why I actually liked it. So, spoiler alert, don't listen if you don't want to get spoiled. I have to do this every time because I'm like, what if someone like jumps at me for spoiling them the story? But I want to talk about it. Hi Witty, happy Pride Month, be crime, do gay. I do that every day. It's criminal how hot I am. Sorry. Yeah, so what happens is that on graduation day, the student leaves a letter to the teacher and is like, meet me in this and this location. In like, I think it was like in a few weeks or so, and then we can talk, right? And so they meet, and the teacher is like, I can only see you as a student right now, but I didn't want to leave you without an answer. Can you please just give me time? It's like, it's so cute. So then there's a time skip. And you find out that they've been like kind of going out, getting like, the teacher's like getting slowly like used to this idea. Of like dating over years while like the kid is like a university student, because I think there's like a time skip of like 3 or 4 years. I think it's 2 or 3 years. And then then the teacher is finally like on like Valentine's Day 2 years later, he brings the student a gift, ex-student a gift, and is like, I rejected all Valentine's chocolate this year, because I have a person that I'm interested in. I was like, yeah, so cute. But there's also like a little bit of like where it shows that like they're trying to get comfortable with like holding hands in public and things like that. And I thought it was a very interesting, very cute thing where he's like, oh, like you were my student for years, and it's so hard for me to get out of that mindset, but it's not like nothing is there. Can you give me time, right? And Ui is just so crazy, like accommodating, and I respect him for pining for so many years, you know? I really recommend it. Fun fact, actually, in the same week, there is another teacher-student BL that has a very similar title, and the the bottom has a very similar name. They released in the same week in Japan. And I just find it a really funny coincidence. I haven't read the other one though. I was playing the long game and won. True! True! Also, like, I liked it because I feel like we don't have a lot of wholesome romances where the student is the bottom. Because very often, either they try to do it so that like the student is the top, because then it's like the whole fetish of like that the 10-year older dude is the bottom, but then it's like, I don't know, it's like less problematic because it's not the teacher fucking the student, whatever. Or if there is that the teacher is the top, then it's not quite wholesome very often. And I don't know, I thought it was like refreshing in the sense that like the younger student is still the bottom, but it's still very, very wholesome, very, very sweet, very, very nice, very enjoyable. Water. I'm actually running out of water, which is not good. Ugh. Okay. Next one. And this is the one where like we're kind of in an awkward position where, because I said that we're only doing stuff that I finished this month. But this is a spin-off to a different series that was serialized while the other series is also serializing. Technically, the parent one, Iki Dekinai no wa Kimi no Se, or in English, Breathless Momentum, released by Animate International. It's finished in Japan, but in English, we don't have the last volume translated yet. Now, Koi Dekinai no wa Kimi no Se, which is Loveless Momentum, is a one-volume spin-off of it, also available in English by Animate International. It's kind of hard to like, I don't know, I gave it an 8. I wonder if I should bring it down to a 10. It's kind of hard to talk about it because this is like, I think this spin-off makes very little sense if you haven't read the main story. Breathless Momentum is so fucking good and I really recommend it. This one is like, it has a bit of a frustrating end. It's an interesting, like, look into these side characters from Breathless Momentum, and like develops them well. But it is one of those spin-offs where like I feel like it just doesn't, it wouldn't make sense without reading the main story. But the main story is a 7-volume series. Well, I guess it was like 4 volumes at the time of the release of this spin-off. And it's just like, it's hard for me to figure out what to say without also trying to explain the whole story of the parent story. It was fine. It's like BL, but like not quite. They don't end up together. In a way, I appreciate it because it wouldn't really make sense story-wise if they were together, but at the same time, it's like a little bit frustrating. Blah blah blah. It's complicated. And the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, you know what? I'll put it as a 7. It's interesting in the sense that the seme is a cross-dressing man. Wow, Hitomi, it's almost like you have a type. Next one. Koi Gokoro Kaihatsu Jikyo. Love development life or something like that. I think is what was the English title. This is like one of my favorite reads in a while. This is a 10 out of 10 read. It's so fucking beautiful. It's so fucking good. This is a story about... So, Asahiritsu is someone who's neurodivergent and implied to also have PTSD. And he has a lot of quirks. He has a lot of, you know, behaviors that a lot of people would find weird. Whether it's that he hates being touched, or he has to follow a very specific routine. Other things like that. He gets panic attacks if something even very small goes wrong. And Machida Ichigo is the first person outside of his family who has ever genuinely tried to understand him. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful story about, like, just in general, about any person who is neurodivergent in some sort of way and struggles to find people who can understand that and accommodate that. Because here we like it's incredible how immediately like Ichigo just wants to accommodate Ritsu. Like it's not a gradual thing. It's not like that things go wrong a few times and that's when he's like, oh, maybe I should be nicer. No, he's immediately like, oh, you don't like to be touched? That's fine. And in the first chapter, because he's already like sort of interested. And I thought this was super, super cute. He's like, I know you don't want to be touched, but what should I do when I want to touch you? Also, I feel like in English you have like, when I want to touch you, like sounds so sexual. That's not the case here. It's literally just like, oh, I want to pat your head and things like that, right? I thought that was so cute. And the fact that like he's already like tries to be so accommodating already in chapter 1, and then it just gets like more and more wholesome. And you know, like these sort of stories, like that's another thing, is that for someone to write this sort of story, you know that they have to have this empathy themselves, right? And have this sort of understanding to people who are in some way different. I was tearing up reading this. I want to read this 10 times. It's so great. It's so wholesome. They just slowly get more and more comfortable with each other while Ichigo tries to never ever cross a line. And when he thinks he crossed a line, he panics. Right? It's so great. It's like I don't know what I can even say more, because I was just like, this is fucking beautiful. Like Like, I hope that this gets licensed in English just so more people can read it, because of how emotional I was. I put this as a 10 out of 10. Don't remember if there's anything else I rated 10 out of 10 this month. I want to say I don't believe so. Because I'm very, like, stingy about giving a 10 out of 10 rating. But this is a 10 out of 10. This made me tear up. This was beautiful. The artwork is also pretty, like, just so good. Please read Koi Gokoro. I know that it's like the awkwardness of like me telling people like most of my audience can't read Japanese, but I'm just like, learn Japanese to read this. Genuinely so fucking beautiful. Please get a sequel. I want more of them. Okay. Next. Melancholic Sugar Tale. Kyusuke, a dragon youth exiled for being unable to eat people, encounters Miyama, a popular streamer. Trapped and with his true identity exposed, Kyusuke gets the most sensitive part of his tail stroked, and he can't resist the pleasure. Why is the synopsis so embarrassing? Cute little dragon boy! We cheered! Yeah, I read this just because cute little dragon boy! Yay! However, it was actually quite, like, the writing was interesting. So the whole premise is that the Uke is a human-eating dragon, and in the dragon communities, as a sort of coming-of-age ceremony, they have to eat human meat. But he tries, and he, like, vomits immediately. It, like, tastes rotten to him. He can't do it. So he goes to the human world, and he's like, his father is like, you have a year. Find a human that you can eat. Right? And so this poor kid works as a fucking Uber Eats driver, a delivery man, whatever, and one day he delivers food to Miyama, who's a very famous streamer. And usually Kyusuke is like hiding his dragon tail and his horns, but I think he was like tired or something. I don't remember the details, and he let it show, and Miyama was immediately like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Not sure his father had BL in mind when he told his son to eat a man. Whatever gets you there, you know? So they kiss. And somehow Miyama doesn't taste bad. He actually tastes really sweet. But what was interesting here is that the main conflict comes from the fact that, well, for Yusuke to be able to go back to his family, he has to eat a human. While Miyama is actually really, really depressed. And as they, spend more time together and fall in love, it gets to a point where Miyama is like, well, actually, I wouldn't mind dying. So if I can die in a way that gets you back to your family, well, that would make me happy. I was tearing up. Shit happens. Obviously, this has a happy ending. But it had this sort of, like, this sad bit of, like, well, like, this dude is, like, a super popular streamer, but he's still, like, not really happy with his life and would be happy to end it. Man. 8 out of 10. Cute art, kind of interesting setting. Nothing revolutionary. I enjoyed the little dragon getting his ass fucked. Sorry. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm so good with words. I know. I know. Next. Nubatama no Yume. Let's get the synopsis, because once again there's none. Completed free. This was a very interesting work. First of all, it was interesting because it had very little text. It was very visual. And that's interesting because, as I said, like BL manga tends to be just one volume long, so very often there's a lot of text so that they can fill the full story within that one volume. But here there is very little text. Synopsis. Everyone has their flaws. I've just been assigned to work with Hoshizuka, a wildly popular novelist whose success seems unstoppable. When I first met him, he struck me as prickly, difficult, and decadent, the complete opposite of the impression I had gotten from his books, and I found him a little intimidating. His attitude toward his young apprentice in particular was especially bizarre. The bond between the apprentice and the novelist decays, twists, and eventually blossoms into something sweet. This was a lot of, like, kind of just porn, but it also had, like, a sort of fake, deep, nice story. It's so hard, actually, like, now that I think about it, to, like, explain exactly what was going on, because it was very visual, and it was also, like, well, the story starts with, a different character seeing them fuck while the bottom has a chastity cage on. And this is also, like, I think this takes place, like, a few decades ago, because they don't have, like modern sex toys. Don't know what to say. Sometimes when like I'm trying to be like as open as I can, but Jesus Christ, sometimes like mentioning shit I read. Anyway, I don't have much to say on this one. It was fine. Talking about like admitting to what Hitomi reads, we have this flower only blossoms for men. Otoko ni dake saku mesu no hana. And this one, shockingly, is available in English. Thank you for this beautiful censorship. You can guess how the actual cover looks like. Ikuo is always making one mistake after the other at work. A particularly huge one is covered up by his coworker Benyo, who in return asks him to dress up in some especially revealing women's underwear. Streaming for all of his followers under the handle Penyo, Benyo decides to give his fans the wild banging session they've been asking for, with Ikuo as the co-star. Cross-dressing porn. It's a one-shot. It was actually really sexy. What can I say? It's commercially released, so it is on Annulist. Hi, Metal. Yeah. What can I say? If you're into men wearing lingerie and having sex with each other, read this. Hontoko is a very interesting offer. They have actually I'm gonna regret clicking here. They have a very interesting spread of stories that have to be censored. to be here. They started just drawing a lot of porn, then they started doing like actual stories. There's also little boys. They drew a lot of interesting things. It is an interesting sort of career where they drew a lot of just like porn, and then they moved on to getting like actual commercial BL releases. If you look up Hontoku on Facetoku on certain websites, you'll find that they have a big collection. How would I know? I heard from a friend. This one, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I admit that when it's like, because this isn't trying to have a great story, this is obviously porn. So I also like rate that a little bit differently, knowing that the purpose was different. Good. Man in panties. We cheered. Thank you. Next. Water. Skinara no gasete, or undress me if you love me. Wow, Hitomi. Is it another man wearing a skirt? Yes. This was my first Sakura Riko work, and Sakura Riko has a lot under her belt. A lot. But somehow, I never touched anything. Even though there's even like works that are released in English. Probably should. Part of the reason why I haven't touched anything is that Sakura Riko is known for having really, really beautiful art, but story is usually kind of meh. So you just read it for the pretty art. However, this one, actually, you can see I gave it a 9 out of 10. And later, like, when I talk to people who have read more of her works, including this one, this is probably, from what I've heard, the best one story-wise. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. So this is a 2-volume series. Okay, I can read the synopsis. It was easy for him to imagine myself in these clothes. How Kosuke would touch him, how he would hold him. Takana, an honor student and vice president of the student council, has a secret routine. It is to comfort himself in drag? He's cross-dressing. It's while fantasizing about being embraced by his childhood friend Kosuke. One night, after completing his usual routine, Takana falls asleep while wearing a skirt. Kosuke, who happens to be visiting his home, sees him in the skirt. Takana, let me see what you looked like yesterday one more time. But what is a very interesting thing here that like I've never really seen in cross-dressing stories is that the main character says that the reason he started cross-dressing, because usually it's just that like, oh, they like cross-dressing. No, here he said he did it by starting to just like wear a female school uniform because he wanted to imagine himself as the girl that his crush Kosuke likes. So rather than like, oh, I just like cross-dressing, he was specifically wearing a schoolgirl uniform from his school to be able to imagine himself as the girl his crush likes, because he was like, well, it's never actually gonna happen, and this is like the closest I can get, which was an interesting aspect. But then, like, you know, as the story progresses, he gets more comfortable with it. For the perverts, this has so many outfits. Like, he goes through so many different outfits in just 2 volumes. Usually, you would have like 2, 3. There's a lot. Honestly, I respect that Kosuke saw Takana in a schoolgirl uniform and immediately goes like, okay, can you wear like this super skimpy Chinese dress next? Honestly, based. I get it. But also like it was just like very nicely done storytelling wise. And this is one of, spoiler alert, I'm gonna do a spoiler alert. This story has one of my favorite title drops in BL manga. Why? Because there's the whole like, so he says undress me if you love me, right? But the way it's actually used in the story is that he says it in the context of have sex with me when I'm not cross-dressing to prove to me that you love me and not like you love me as me and not me when I'm wearing girls' clothes. And that was really nice because you know, like just that title just sounds so sexual. And obviously it is used in sexual context, but like it was used in the story with such like a nice in such a nice way, with the like the Uke being worried that the Sema is only interested in him because of the cross-dressing and because he like developed a fetish for cross-dressing, but it's not actually about him. So he's asking like, are you able to have sex with me if I'm naked and I'm not wearing all of these clothes? I thought that was nice. I thought I was like jaw drop when I saw that title drop. I thought that was really cool. 9 out of 10. I really recommend it. And also, as I said, Sakura Riko has 1 or 2 already released titles in English in print, and 7C's last month licensed another one. Sakura Riko excellence. Really, really nice artwork. I recommend it. What's next? Tonari no douki norenai jijo. How would I translate this? The love circumstances of my colleague that lives next door. I put this as 9 out of 10. I really liked it. This was one of those stories that I picked up not having much, not expecting much from it, but actually ended up being quite positively surprised. Do you only read BL manga or do you read manhwa too? I read manga, manhwa with a U. So I read comics and novels from Japan, China, and South Korea, as well as novels from Japan, China, South Korea. And I have one BL novel from Taiwan that I have to read, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. I truly spread it out. I tried to read all of the BL, but you know, it might seem that I read BL manga the most, but it's largely because BL manga is usually just 1 volume long, whereas like any other things are way longer. So it's just that like I can sit down and read 3 different BL manga in one day, but if I want to read even a BL manhwa, that's usually like 100 chapters, and it takes me 2 or 3 days just to get through one, right? So that's why like the proportion to number of titles is kind of skewed. It's just about the length. Also, because I'm trying to study Japanese, I read a lot in Japanese, and like comics are easier. Yeah, so what I was saying, this surprised me because I expected it to just be like a little bit silly, especially when like I opened it and you know how like on the French flaps, so on the dust jacket, sometimes the author will do a little like introduction note. The introduction note for this one was literally just the author being like, men who smoke cigarettes are really sexy. Fair enough. So so this surprised me because the story was so much more like just wholesome. Like, and also, but also like it touched on like homophobia and the trauma caused by being in a homophobic environment. The Sema is straight, quote, like question mark. It's never like he never says it directly, but he has also like never only ever been with women, while the Uke has like identifies as a gay man. And when I talk about like, oh, that like it touches on like trauma caused by living in a homophobic environment, is that there's multiple scenes in just this one volume where the Uke talks about like him being gay or him being interested in men, and he like follows it up with like, it's disgusting, right? Because he like expects that the person he's talking to is gonna be like deterred by it, or he's gonna find it weird, disgusting, etc., because he has those experiences. And it just like broke my heart reading it, like that implication where he like opens up to his colleague, and even like there's a moment where he like tries to like open up quote marks in the sense that like he's trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm like gay and everything, and you should stay away from me, and then he's surprised that like it doesn't work because he's used to the fact that like everyone is just homophobic as fuck. It was a very nice read. It made me emotional. The writing was very pleasant in the way that a lot of things were not said directly. A lot of things were implied. And I find that to be an issue in popular media nowadays, that a lot of things feel like they have to be said outright or else the reader won't get them. So I appreciate it when even something as simple as I explained, where like you have him add, oh, it's disgusting, right? And it's not, and you just have that, and you have to take that and understand that the implication is that he expects the other person to react this way, but it's never said directly. And there's a few other examples of that in this story where like, I don't know, I like it when the author doesn't treat their audience as absolutely stupid. Another thing that like I really liked here is that the Seme just he becomes so soft and so wholesome once he realizes that he's interested in the Uke romantically. So there's actually like a very cute misunderstanding where the Uke says that he has a crush on someone, but you know, there's no chance that like he's ever gonna be in a happy relationship because he keeps on crushing on like, keeps on being interested in people who are straight. And obviously he means the Seme, but the Seme doesn't realize that the Uke has a crush on him. So when the Seme catches feelings himself, his train of thought, which I'm actually in a way sad that this was only left as a train of thought and was not expressed to the Uke, is that well, you can't be happy with the person you have a crush on, but I have feelings for you, so why can't you just choose me instead, so that you don't have to suffer by pining for someone that you can't have. Aww. But and then also like when they have the whole like confession scene and stuff, the Seme is like, because the Uke previously talked about how like he's depressed, that well, like he's just like really devastated that because he's gay, he doesn't expect that he will ever have a normal romantic relationship, right? And that like he wishes he could just like go on dates and just have, you know, just have the most normal romantic relationship, but because he's gay, like, he doesn't think he will ever have that. And then later on during the confession scene, the Sema is like, I want to be the one who makes all of your wishes about, like, having a normal relationship come true. I thought that was so cute. So it's such a, like this cover and the and like the synopsis of the story and the way that it's marketed made me think made me like have like very like, oh, this is gonna be something like okay-ish again expectations. But I actually like finished it and I was like, I really liked it. I gave it a 9 out of 10. If you can read Japanese, read Tonari no Doki no Renai Jijo. If you can't read Japanese, go ask publishers. Most English language publishers take license recommendations. You can recommend this title. I think it's really good. Next. Oh, this was a really funny one. Very do stripe. Completed 1. I'm the only person who read this on AniList. Okay, I don't need the synopsis. The reason why this one is incredible is that the whole premise is this is an Omegaverse, and they're both betas, so normal people, but due to a misunderstanding, they both think that they both think that they're an alpha / omega, right? So like the Sema thinks that the Uke is an omega, the Uke thinks that the Sema is an alpha. They keep this misunderstanding and keep on acting around each other because they're worried that if it comes out that they're actually a beta, then like the other person will not be interested anymore. But they're like hopelessly in love. Very funny premise. It ended in a very wholesome way, and I don't know, it was funny, but it was also just like a little bit of that, like, reading the existential dread of, oh, if I reveal that I'm a beta, like, or in general, if I reveal who I truly am, they're gonna leave me. That was like a painful experience, but overall, like, just the premise of this is really funny. It's a quite a lighthearted and easy read, so I recommend it if there's like people here who are not very good at Japanese. I'm not very good at Japanese, but like this is an example of like a work that was a very easy read. Alpha Larper versus Alpha Larper, who will break first? Alpha Larper versus Omega Larper, right? So what happens is that the dude who pretends to be an Omega thinks that the other dude is an alpha, so that's why he acts as an omega. And then because the dude acts as an omega, then the other dude is like, oh, you think I'm an alpha, right? And I can't tell you that actually I'm not. But oh no, wait, I forgot the most important part. So the person who pretends to be an omega, he thinks he's an omega for the beginning, because he never had his secondary gender tested. He was like, I'm sure that if I look like this, I have to be an omega. And then, so he acts like an omega, but then he actually goes and gets the test done, and he finds out that he's a beta, and then he's like, well, how the fuck do I say this? So he keeps on acting like he's an omega. I'm just like, why are you so stupid? What do you mean you never got your secondary gender tested? Peak. It was really funny. It was cute. It was nice. And like as I said, it's a very easy. I remember it was a very easy read. So if there's people who want to like find nice reading material in Japanese, for like maybe not beginners. N4 question mark N4 with a dictionary. This would probably be a good example. Because by the way, my Japanese is shit, but there's nothing that motivates me more than just like reading BL. So I brute force through a lot of BL with just a dictionary, and I've read like 60, 70 volumes by now. But I haven't even finished the iconic Kaishi 1.5k. So I haven't finished the flashcards of the most popular 1500 words in Japanese, but I read a few dozen comic volumes in Japanese. Priorities. And obviously as I read, like I like learn words. 60, 70 wasn't the meme, right? Don't even start, man. Okay, next one. Can I even show this? 3 out of 10. This, I don't even want to read the synopsis. You can like read it on the screen if you want to. It's so bad, but it has what's the English? Spoiled and ruined. It's so fucking bad, but it has muscular man wearing bunny outfits, and it's only 3 chapters, so I just wanted to look at that. It's really not good, but it has big men in bunny outfits. That's all I got for you. Looks like something I would definitely read. It's just 3 chapters. You can check it out. It has a mean score of 40. Look at this score distribution. There's 2 people who voted that it's 1 out of 10. 3 people that voted 3 out of 10. 2 that voted 5 out of 10. 2 that voted 7 out of 10. 1 that voted 9 out of 10. It's not good. But you can, it's just 3 chapters and you can just look at men and bunny outfits. Next one! I didn't need to click that. Yowamushi Omega wa dekiai saretai. A thoughtful young man, Alpha, and an introverted creator, Omega. Love remakes life. Luca, creator of the famous character Mimigel, is an illustrator with an introverted personality. Because he was tired of being changed too much, not to his liking. He gave up the copyright to the character Mimigel and took a plane to move to a faraway place to live. During his flight, the plane suddenly had a shaking problem. Before he knew it, he found himself in a world where strange words like second gender, omega, sex were everywhere. And what would his new life be like? So, this is a story about a dude getting isekai'd into a parallel universe that's the Omegaverse. And he's an Omega in that universe. And it's a very nothing burger read. It's like the dude is cute. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Look at me. It's cute. There's a few aspects that are interesting. One aspect that I found interesting is that he comes. Spoiler alert! Obligatory spoiler alert. Is that he actually comes back to the original world for a while. After meeting his fated mate in the Omegaverse, and he's like absolutely devastated that like he doesn't have his Alpha there, and then comes back to the Omegaverse world again. I thought that was interesting. You don't really see that. You don't really see that in isekai stories that like they come back to the original world and are like Oh, I fucking hate this. I'm so depressed. I'm so lonely. I want to go back. What also like really got me thinking, because he has never heard of the Omegaverse, right? Like, it's because there are stories, for example, Omega ni dake ga naritaku nai, which is an example of an Omegaverse isekai story where the main character knows what Omegaverse is, and then he gets so because like he has seen Omegaverse BL, and then he gets transported into an Omegaverse world. That's a bit different compared to here, when the main character has never heard of the Omegaverse. He becomes an Omega, and he goes into heat in public, which, like, sounds like a nightmare. Like, that's so dangerous. Like, what if there's, like, you could just get raped. You wouldn't even know why there's someone, like, suddenly jumping you. Horrifying. He goes into heat, but in public, but thankfully no one except his fated alpha is there, and his fated alpha is so nice. And so... come on. He doesn't do anything. But it's scary to think about, right? The story is cute. I love that the English translation that they use in the Japanese cover is "Sweet, delicate Omega boy wants to be loved deeply." Yeah, like he is a sweet, delicate Omega boy. I do, like, he does look like one. And he got covered by my fishing. Goodbye, sweet, delicate Omega boy. Yeah, I don't have much more to say. It was cute. It wasn't anything incredible. Ta-da! Next. Oh, the next one is a good one. Yusha ni zokko ni sunoji. The prince is completely in love with the hero. This is... I'm trying to reel in the sweet, delicate boy. Please bring him to me! Please! So, this is a BL about a prince who was partying a little bit too hard, and as punishment, his father hired a witch to turn him into, as you might see from this image, 15 centimeters tall. And his seme has incredible, like, gets incredible cuteness, aggression, and starts chewing on him. And there's multiple scenes where he's just like, oh my god, you're so cute! And then he just puts him in his mouth. And starts chewing on him. It's so good. 10 out of 10. I love Seto Umiko's work. Seto Umiko sensei is very great at comedy works. Because this is a rom-com, but it's a very, like, surreal comedy. There's another one. There's another work by Seto Umiko that is actually available in English, and that is her newest work called Osake ni Yaoi Ando-san, which is Ando is new to drinking. And it's a story where, like, you have colleagues at work, and, like, one of them gets, like, a completely 180 personality change when he's drunk. It's really funny, really cute. Available in English, I really recommend it. Ando is new to drinking is the English title. Whereas this one is not available in English, but it has the same sort of, like, surreal comedy vibe. Also, an interesting part is that this one actually has a voice comic, so I was able to, like, read it while listening to a voiced version, and the voice comic is also really, really nicely done. They did some extra like animations to it and like really nice sound effects. It's very, very nicely done. It was a very, very like overall great experience. I love it. I love that there truly is a BL for everyone, including a BL where someone is chewing on a guy. Just full on putting him in his mouth. God, I love the world that we live in, that like things like that exist, you know? What next? We have Zenbu Agaru. This is another work by Sakura Riko. They read this month. The second Sakura Riko work that I read overall. And this has such a, like, the premise of this, it's literally like designed to like like it's designed to just add more sex into the manga. So the whole premise is that you have these childhood friends that come from some village, and in that village there's like a legend that there are descendants of a mermaid, and those descendants have incredible powers, whatever. TLDR, the Uke has like health issues, and the Seme can heal him with body fluids. And obviously it's just like they've just been kissing for a decade or so, but then they start fucking as like for health reasons, as one does. 7 out of 10. It was kind of interesting because it was like an entertainment industry thing, which I'm weak to. Sakura Riko is really, really good at drawing beautiful, beautiful ukes. So it was enjoyable in that sense. Story-wise, it was just kind of as I said, like, it's also like the part of the plot was designed around being able to add more sex to the manga, which like has pros and cons, because it's like, yeah, I get more nice looking panels, but on the other hand, I'm like thinking that like, oh wow, the story isn't that good because it's designed to just be more porn. They have an incredible size difference. It's not really visible on the cover, but when there's like panels where they stand next to each other, there's like I think there's like 30 centimeters difference between them, which is really cute and really sexy. I recommend it if you like cute ukes. And next one, that's actually the last one on the list. We have Omega ni naru no wa omae no sei da, or It's Your Fault That I'm Turning Into an Omega. And interesting thing here is that they actually put bitching Omegaverse on the cover. And this is advertised as the bitching Omegaverse BL. Now, bitching in Omegaverse is a term that exists in like fanfiction. The thing is generally like when an alpha turns into an omega. But the thing that is like really ridiculous here is that usually in fanfiction, bitching is, first of all, it's a vulgar word, right? So it kind of like would make you expect that there's some sort of vulgarity to the process of the alpha turning into an omega. And usually in fanfiction, this is done by like, oh, we're pumping this pumping this alpha full of cum until his body slowly starts changing into an omega. And it's very often like, oh, we have this dude getting raped by 5 guys. Like that's the usual setting in fanfiction. And as I said, like, because you're using the word bitching, you're expecting that it's gonna be something like more drastic. So the fact that like in this story, they just did a more like, if 2 alphas like each other very much, then whoever has weaker pheromones turns into an alpha, and it's like it turns into an omega, and it's like so weird that it's such a like a if two alphas like each other very much, when you have bitching right on the cover and it's used multiple times, like they genuinely use bitching in the text. Like I'm assuming that the author just doesn't realize how like drastic in the face that word sounds like to an English speaker, and that like it feels weird to have it be framed as something so wholesome as just like, oh, they like each other very much. But if you are able to get past that, this was actually a really, really cute story. It has really good art. It's a very, very cute and very wholesome story about just two rivals at work. And God, like, Japan loves the, oh, we're two rivals at a workplace. And, like, especially the whole, like, oh, we're two people in the sales department and we're competing for who gets better sales. And, like, this sort of, like, dynamic. They love it. I also love it. I'm gonna read a million of those. But it ended up being very wholesome. What I really liked about this one is that they have this sort of dynamic where they're like super like competitive when they're next to each other, even when it comes to sex. But then like, so they and then they're like, you know, I'll show you how it's done and all of that, but then like ends and they part, and then they like just start blushing and being like, what the fuck was I doing? Why did I say all of that? So it's a little bit of, it's like very moe. They're cute, how they're like, how they get so riled up and so competitive when they're with each other, but then when like ends and they actually like realize what they've done, they get so embarrassed about it. Also, what I was really, really happy about is that this actually, because I didn't think that would be the case, because it doesn't seem like something that would like be that popular. But apparently, when this, this released like physically at the beginning of March, and like a week after the physical tankobon release, it already got confirmed for a sequel. We don't have a date for when the sequel will start, but I'm very, very excited to get more of them because they were so cute. I really, really liked it. Thank you. That was the end of my list, actually. Nice stuff. Have you read Love in the Palm of His Hand? I have the volumes on my shelf. They are staring at me. I bought 2 volumes. Then the third one released, I had it pre-ordered. And I still haven't read a singular page. Because something is seriously wrong with me. I actually have like, probably like 20 or 30 physical comic volumes that I haven't opened. Pretty bad. Not even talking about like how bad my backlog for Danmei is. I have almost a full shelf of Danmei that I haven't read. I love buying. I don't like reading. I was playing with a pen in my hand and it just fell somewhere. Hi, Jared! Hi! Nice to see you here. How are you doing? How have you been? We haven't talked in a while because I disappeared. Sorry, water. The horrors persist, but so do I. Yeah, I use that one a lot. That one is so true. That's just how I feel day to day. I constantly experience the horrors, but also the horrors experience me. Am I gonna experience more horrors now that I got promoted at work? Who knows? Or is it gonna be less? I'm gonna find out what was more painful, my previous position or my current one. Okay, wait, because we finished talking about the BL. Let's not constantly show bitching Omegaverse right there on screen. Where am I? I'm here. Hi. Oh my god. For all the people new here, I have to crack my spine a lot. So if you randomly hear, like, popping and cracking, it's probably just me breaking my bones again. The usual. Also, yeah, going back to, like, I was asked about if I read Love in a Poem's Hand. I have such a big backlog, but because I'm trying to, like, study Japanese, and I'm doing that by just making myself read in Japanese, I've been, like, really putting off the titles I own in English. Because I'm constantly like, well, if I have the energy to read, then maybe I should read in Japanese so that I can make some sort of progress. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. I also made a lot of friends who also read in Japanese. So it's also, like, nice that we, like, I have a little circle of people who are English speakers, but they also, like, know a little bit of Japanese and read in Japanese, and we can, like, talk about the manga that we've read, where, like, you know, because usually, like, there aren't that many people that do that. I don't feel comfortable, like, trying to meet, like, Japanese fujoshis because I don't speak Japanese well enough. It's probably also, like, not a good thing that I mainly just read and I never talk, never write, never make any sort of output myself in Japanese. So that's probably not helping my studying. But I will say that I have made, like, because I started reading in Japanese in October last year is when I first read a manga in Japanese with a dictionary, and I've made incredible progress since then in, like, reading speed as well as, like, how many words I have to look up as I'm reading. My spine, however, clearly has not made any progress and still needs to constantly break. What can I talk about? God, how long have I yapped about BL for 2 hours? And people were here to listen. That's the crazier part. Thank you for the pad. Yeah, I'm just like, oh my god. Only 2 hours must have been a quiet. Had that told me for getting better at Japanese. Ah, thank you. Yeah, we listened, but it was 2 hours? No way. Yeah, it was. It was actually 2 hours. Isn't that crazy? I also read a really good one today at work, as one does. But that's June, so maybe if I do a June recap at the beginning of July, then you'll find out. Then you'll find out. Oh, why am I constantly breaking my back? That's not good. But yeah, I'm just work. Oh my god, isn't it crazy that I like have a career, but then I get back home. I get back home from work and I go live and I talk about what kind of gay porn I've been reading. Like, there's people out there toasting to my promotion, being like, you are like such a good employee and like we believe in you and whatever. And I'm doing so well in my career and I come back and I'm just like, guys, so I read this horrible BL, but it had men cross-dressing and that was enough for me. Imagine if people at work found out. Almost like a superhero, but instead of saving the world, you can sue people. That's my superpower. My superpower is actually having an almost perfect half-a-year streak of reading BL. That's my superpower. Incredible, truly. How does she do it? How does she do it? God. Okay, we yapped. Maybe we will end on this note. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. I will try to stream maybe one day more, someday maybe. I'm busy this weekend, and then next week I'm going on holidays for a week and a half, so I once again will disappear. I'm such a liar. I was like, I'll stream regularly, and I stream once a week, and then I disappear for 2 weeks again. Stupid Tommy. What are you doing? But I'll try to stream maybe Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I know my days of the week. I know my days of the week, and I know how to speak English. The purple leaves us once again. Do you? I do! There's like Monday and Wednesday and Saturday. Time to set the villages on fire till Tommy returns. Is that your pastime? Is that how you like entertain yourself when I'm offline? Have a good rest, Hitomi. Good luck with your week. Thank you. Thank you. It's gonna take a while to get used to the fact that there's people older than me asking me how I want them to work. That feels very weird to me, but I have to get used to it. That's just life. When you're suffering from success. I'm so fucking annoying. Jesus Christ. Oh wait, Jared is streaming? Wait, did he just start? Or... Okay, he just started, so he probably just like popped in to say hi before going. We can rate him. And I... What emotes do I have? Oh my god, wait. Can we do a raid message that's like this? Please. Wait, actually, I don't know how many people, because this is a follower emote, and I don't know how many people are gonna be able to like, because you have to be subscribed to use it. But you can also just do like you can just do this if you're not subscribed, right? Wonderful raid message. I'm sure Jared will appreciate it greatly. For all the new people, if you haven't joined my Discord, it's in the the link is in the chat. And thanks everyone for hanging out. Does it show on other channels when you're not subbed? Yeah. So if you're subbed, because if you're subbed, you can use it, and if you're not subbed, you have to use like a different emote. Thanks everyone. I hope you guys have a great Brightmon! Bye!